A to the K.
To the K.
To the K.
Hello, one and all. Welcome to the A to the K Wrestling Show, and welcome to another week of the Ringside Report. Anthony,
Love it. Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasm. Still ill.
Yeah.
Okay, try my best. Still here.
Not as bad as the man flu you had last
you could
week.
you could see that. I like to hope that you
Through
can't
the
see
screen.
this.
It's like
You can hear
4D, man.
Yeah, that's the experience we get. But coming up tonight on the Ringside Report. Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns involved in backstage altercation.
Sasha Banks further teases her return to wrestling. Further.
Triple H gives an update on the future of Survivor Series.
Is William Regal set for a WWE return?
Dana Brooke, all she wants for her birthday is to wrestle.
The controversial Brian Kendrick has returned to WWE to produce a women's title match.
Good gimmick, that controversial Brian Kendrick.
Sadly,
WWE
lived it in life. Sorry, come on.
WWE headed to India for premium live event this January.
But WWE have pulled stars from an independent wrestling event.
Andrade El Idolo undergoes his first surgery.
Fantastic pronunciation. That
Said it right this
Love
time.
it. Twitter debate over who is AEW's best ex-WWE signing.
Anthony, when's all this coming up?
It's all coming up, Carl. Right fucking now.
Yes, it is. We're going to talk about the altercation. We need a clever thing like the all out fallout. We need like the Survivor Series. What rhymes with series?
Shenanigans.
Yeah, that's the one. Alliteration works there. Survivor Series shenanigans. Yeah. Say that 3 times fast.
Survivor Series shit show.
For anyone who saw Survivor Series, the main event in particular, you will have seen a moment where Kevin Owens slapped the bejesus out of Roman Reigns.
Classic Kev.
And apparently, after the match, many could clearly see that quite visibly, Roman Reigns was not too impressed. And a lot of people have kind of gone back to, well, why might that be? Maybe it's because Kevin Owens slapped the shit out of him in the match. Now, the news that is making the rounds is that there was a bit of an altercation after the fact in which Roman Reigns was not best pleased with Kevin Owens. I think it was even potentially discussed that he questioned his ability. How dare you question another man's ability?
Damn. Kevin Owens' response was, "You just got slapped." Sorry.
I wish it was, to be fair. But yeah, so apparently a lot of people think this was due to the slap that Kevin Owens did, which apparently went a bit off script. So I believe it's meant to be just a worked kind
I
of
love it.
punch
Just
to the
something
face.
so man. It was meant to be the other cheek.
Well, yeah. I think Roman was apparently upset that he got his eardrum slapped. No one likes to have their eardrum slapped, you know?
Yeah.
Not nice.
New t-shirt right there. I'll slap you in the drum.
I'll slap you. Sounds like a good Friday night.
So many
to me.
uses.
But yeah, what do you make of this? Do you think anything really major went down? I think there's been a couple of varied reports since this. Some people saying it was settled quite quickly, other people saying that.
I think this has probably been blown out of proportion. I imagine he was pissed off. By all accounts, he has like potentially injured his eardrum, which is painful and annoying. So you would be pissed off, and you know what? Like, I've known you since we were kids. You slapped me in the ear and hurt my eardrum. I'd probably be a little pissed off.
And I've known you since we were kids, and you are painful and annoying.
Exactly.
So,
but the point being, like, it wouldn't be any more than, ow, you dickhead. And then you crack on, wouldn't you? So I feel like they probably had a couple of words backstage, like, what the fuck was that? And he was like, sorry. And then that was that. And then someone there's with an notepad, like, oh, yeah. Dirt sheets are going to love this shit.
I mean, you have to wonder who the mole is, don't you? Because there's always someone who leaks this fucking shit.
Honestly, I'm waiting for this all to be a work, and Sami Zayn has been the mole. He's been feeding information to Fightful, PW Insider, a whole lot of them, the whole time.
Frightful? I mean, frightful.
Sorry, Frightful. So, yeah, it's interesting, and I don't know who their sources always are, but I feel like this one is just something that's been blown out of proportion. It might have been a little bit heated backstage, but at the end of the day,
yeah.
If you can't be in a wrestling match and accidentally get caught And, you know, that should never be like a big issue, should it? There's always the chance that something's going to go slightly wrong. It's that kind of business.
Yeah, imagine him going, well, you know, the untrained Logan Paul didn't bust me in the eardrum, like, you know. And...
I love how, like, well, the contrast for the wrestling community just tickles me. And apologies, because this might sound a bit wild the way I'm putting it, but you have the likes of Bret Hart, who had his career ended by a botch from another wrestler, and everyone's like, just get the fuck over it, Brett. And then you get something like this, is like, nah, it's bang on about it, shouldn't have hit him in the ear like that. Fucking bullshit. And I find it really interesting. It's like, yeah, no one should be hitting the ear like that. Yeah, it's like, come on.
It's an interesting take on it, isn't it? I think a lot of people seem to think Roman is obviously winding down at this point, and I think a lot of people will float in the idea.
So you're saying this is Kevin trying to wind him back up?
Well, maybe. A lot of people float in the idea of the fact that maybe, you know, like it'd be a shit way for him to end his undefeated streak from an ear slap. Doesn't really it's not the culmination you want to see to the whole bloodline story.
He just vacates the belts. Like,
it hurts. No, tell me it hurts. Yeah, hopefully there's nothing major there, because I believe,
no, of course, like, you know, joking aside, but
Roman and Kevin Owens work a program again, maybe Rumble, or
I mean, I feel like they're keeping the embers burning, if you will, because obviously this week on Raw we had him sort of having altercations with the bloodline still, which suggests that the heat can't really be that bad.
Yeah, except for in his ear. Feels pretty hot right now when he got slapped. Yeah, not good.
But you suggest, like, if he was really like in the doghouse, he probably wouldn't be continuing with them. There would have been a good time to just end it, but it's Kevin Owens who's coming out and speaking to the bloodline.
I like that, to be fair. In the doghouse, he is the big dog. It's his yard now. You know what I'm saying?
It is apparently, because it wasn't official, but he had a match with the Undertaker for that. So
he did. Fucking yard on a pole match, literally, wasn't it? So yeah, hopefully nothing more than just you know, a bit of a reaction in the moment, if you will.
I like it. Speaking of reaction, no,
speaking of things I like.
So this is just, I mean, there's not a great deal to this, but let's talk about it, right? So Sasha Banks has again sort of teased a bit of a return to wrestling, and the tease has come from her TikTok, actually, where she's put up like a bit of a montage, if you will. You know, you like a good montage, yeah. And it's included various different pictures from wrestling, which included the likes of Bandito. And then she's alluded to the fact that you know, she's training her ass off, and you know, big things are coming soon. That, to be fair, at the time suggested like it might be November, but you know, it might be that November was get ready time, so we're going to see it in December. We don't really know the details in that sense, but a lot of people are going, you know what, she's going to AEW. But the interesting thing is she's actually tagged and included a lot of various different bits. So she's had some things from WWE, some things from AEW, even elements of like independent scene. She's mentioned Europe. She's mentioned Juventud Guerrera. So
I think did she hashtag as well? She hashtagged AEW in the actual TikTok video, which a lot of people kind of going.
Hang on. So the hashtags were Lucha Libre, AEW, Pro Wrestling, Bank on It, WWE. To be fair, were also hashtagged. And various different bits like that. So there's a few hashtags in there, so it could be any, and she's clearly knows what she's doing, like in terms
working
of working the crowd. But the Bandito one, I think, has got people the most. It's like she's obviously been training with him, and he's with AEW, so it just feels like a good set. And to be honest, I think it would be a really good thing. I know people get all on the whole ex-WWE thing, but it'd be a really good signing for WWE.
It'd be major for them. Like, you know, let's be honest. Obviously, they got Saraya and stuff like that, and obviously she's a good acquisition now that she can wrestle again and things. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. It adds some cadence to the fact that last week or the week before we were talking about the trademarks. So she trademarked. Was it fucking Monet or whatever it was?
Yeah. So is it
Mercedes Monet? Was it?
Yeah, but she'd like there was a few things like
Bank something or other as well, wasn't there?
Like Bank Monet and stuff like that. Yeah. That might be wrong, but you know, elements that included all that, but still alluded to the whole Sasha Banks.
Because I think at the time we were like, well, if she goes back to WWE, there's no way she's changing her name, because why on earth would she? Exactly. So now that
I think it was Bank on It and Statement Maker were the two other things that she's trademarked.
Interesting. But yeah, I'm like, imagine that. Imagine if she just goes, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to AEW.
Honestly, it'd be such a good thing for their women's division. Another great thing, and I'll mention it here because we don't really have a place for it in our current setup of the show. Ruby Soho's back, so that's fucking awesome.
She is. She did come back this week.
Just another good acquisition for AEW, and it'd be great to see her because she's come back to Dynamite to get revenge. So I'm hoping that they give that a bit of profile, which would be nice.
It would be. It's interesting now, I think, to see what Saraya does because she's had the match with Britt. And now it's kind of like she's going to speak to Renee Paquette again. It's like I think they're going to not have a wrestling an awful lot. Yeah, it's kind of that Sting treatment a little bit where she's just going to be doing, segments and stuff.
And she's going to be like, I'm not even going to put me a tie on this week. Fuck it.
But I think
the Sting approach.
Like, to be fair, that's the money match to make. Like the person who ended a career for all those years in Sasha Banks. To then go up against Saraya in AEW would be like, holy shit, people would want to see that.
But you wouldn't be getting Sasha Banks versus Paige, though, would you?
Well, you wouldn't. But still, same shit.
Like the Aldi equivalent.
Aldi equivalent.
Mercedes Moné versus Saraya.
Aldi's pretty big in the States, to be fair, these days. If only you knew the origins of Aldi,
I believe Down Under as well. Big Down Under.
Oh, really? I've heard.
The Aussies apparently got quite a lot of Aldis as well.
Interesting.
I don't know why we're talking about this. Coming up next, the history of Aldi.
Why not? We should branch out. But I think that would be a major signing for AEW. Whether or not it's going to happen, whether it's just kind of, I still can't see it. To be honest, I'm not going to lie. I do think that when she returns to wrestling, if she does, it'll be for WWE. I think she owes them that much. Do you know what I mean? I don't think, especially with Triple H at the helm now. She ultimately had a at the Helmsley. She had the issue with Vince and not prioritising the tag division and the women's wrestling side of things. But
thank God Triple H is here and prioritising the women's tag.
Well, to be fair, I mean maybe not so much the tag division, but we've seen a lot more women's wrestling with Triple H. I think because he's got
with Ronda Rousey in it.
Well, yeah, there is that. Which, is it even wrestling?
I don't even know why I'm being so bitchy.
But anyway, before we get ourselves in trouble, let's move on to the next one. Speaking of Triple H, Anthony.
Speaking of bitchy, wait.
So, WWE had the idea to continue the media scrums after the premium live events.
Where did you get that idea?
Where did you get that idea?
I believe it was from Cody Rhodes' wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, just sidebar. Cody Rhodes is great, isn't he? Think of all the things he's done and solved and achieved in life.
Like the time he ended racism.
Yeah. What a guy. But that aside,
he changed his profile pic this week. I can't believe it wasn't even a headline. He's now got a black and white American Nightmare skull.
Holy shit.
And the world erupted.
Cody
I don't know why
Rhodes,
we didn't.
NWO
This should have been one of the main news articles we mentioned this week.
We shouldn't have even said anything else. We should have just spent 30 minutes talking about that.
Yeah.
I don't know why I sound like it was from like fucking New York then. We should have spent 30 minutes talking about that. The fuck is wrong with you? Get a hot dog and a bagel.
And that's Carl's version of a New Yorker.
Yeah, not good, but it's a version. That's all that matters. But Triple H in the post-media scrum was asked, is the future of Survivor Series going to be War Games driven? Is this now the future for Survivor Series? Are we done with the traditional 5-on-5 Survivor Series
Team
matches?
Red, Team Blue. I fucking hope we're done with that.
And basically, we don't know. So he said they took the time to evaluate the current situation. They think that the whole SmackDown versus Raw stuff has kind of run its course a little bit. And so they wanted to do something a little bit different this year, and they felt War Games fit nicely with the storylines they had available. But ultimately, he said they're going to listen to the fans and do what is the right thing to do at the time. So he's not put to bed the whole 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series stuff. He's not put to bed the whole SmackDown versus Raw stuff.
Just the fact he said, we're going to listen to the fans. It's like, well, that's an improvement for WWE anyway. Do you remember? It's like when they're just there doing whatever the fuck they want and going, oh, it's WrestleMania. People get really confused and they boo the people that they shouldn't be booing. It's like, no, we just don't like them.
You're all idiots. You don't like what we put out.
He's listening to the fans now. I like that.
Yeah. Well, so he says anyway. I mean, I don't think fans at the time were going, we want War Games. So he did something and it paid off. But he's ultimately saying that
I hope he's listening to all the fans because I'd be like, do a flip.
Specifically you, Triple H, flip for me.
Listen to the fans.
But yeah, I don't think that this means Survivor Series is now the home of War Games and we're going to get that every year or anything like that. I think he's ultimately said it felt like the right thing to do to freshen it up this year, and it made sense. But when it comes to Survivor Series next year, we're going to see where we are. We're going to see what's going to make the most sense, whether it's traditional thing, whether it's Raw versus SmackDown, whether it's I do this a lot lately, whether it's back to War Games, we don't know. So yeah.
So there you go, big old question mark. Speaking of big old question marks,
seeing Triple H again. He's fucking news all the time.
He's everywhere, isn't he? Every single picture. Anyway, so a lot of people are talking about this, Carl, and I'm here to tell you we have no answers either, right?
Nobody
but
does.
Let's talk about it. So William Regal was written off TV this week in AEW Dynamite. Seems fairly foregone that he's been written off TV this week on Dynamite. And a lot of people are suggesting this is because he wasn't under a 3-year contract like Dave Meltzer previously said. No.
After he previously said that he wasn't, and then now he said
just about maybe under a year contract with a early get-out clause, and maybe he's done with the company and maybe going back to WWE. But we're not sure on that either, but that's just what we're being told. But Sean Ross Sapp agrees with that this time, so maybe, so basically, nobody really knows, but there's a lot of suggestion that this may be Regal leaving AEW, which, to be honest, I'm a bit torn on how I feel about this, because I thought he was a great acquisition for AEW. I'm surprised he was only brought in as an on-screen talent. And I'm like, I kind of wish it wasn't the case, because that's someone they really need, and I want both companies to thrive. But at the same time, he's been a long-time friend of Triple H, and he was fantastic in WWE. And obviously he did a lot more behind the scenes. And a lot of people are suggesting, and by a lot of people I mean random guys on Twitter, a lot of people are suggesting that...
but have they got blue ticks?
Yeah, everyone's got blue ticks now. Oh, sorry, unless you're in Europe, and then apparently Elon doesn't care about those, so you can't even sign up to that.
You have to be on iOS on a phone on a Wednesday.
Near a cliff for some reason. So a lot of people are thinking that it wouldn't be a breach of his non-compete if he was to be released and work backstage, because his non-compete would be as an on-screen talent. I don't know how true that would be. And it's surprising how many people are really familiar with contract law in sports entertainment on Twitter. So I'm going to trust what they're telling me.
Okay.
But, what do you make of this? Do you think this is him leaving, or do you think this may be, again, like a little bit of a work and he's actually taking some time? Maybe he's going to be working backstage for AEW and they're using it as an opportunity to write him off screens and cause us to all talk about what's going on.
A game or the game? That's the question. I don't know. I think it'd be a massive shame if he was no longer an on-screen character, because I've enjoyed seeing him. He's done some great promos. He's done some great he just does the stuff that just adds so much to his segments. He's just in the background doing some fucking cool stuff, and you're just I fucking love this guy.
As you know, we're as well as the fans will know, we are massive fans of Regal. Yeah, he's old school. Not enough
to go and meet him in Wales this weekend or whenever it is, but massive fan.
Well, he's not going to be there now. He's in an ambulance.
Good point, actually, yeah. Kayfabe is alive.
But my point is, we've always been fans of his old school approach towards wrestling. So, you say, it's going to be a shame to not have him on screen. Yeah. And sadly, I don't think he'd be on screen with WWE, not frequently.
I think the baffling thing to me is, as you said then, that they've only used him as an on-screen talent. They've not had him in any kind of backstage
He's
capacity.
Got such a mind for the industry.
So I guess it's what's best for wrestling overall, and it's probably his mind backstage. But I'll just miss seeing him regularly. But if that means he gets to come out and go War Games, then
what surprises me with the whole suggestion is everyone's like, he's left now and he's going back to WWE soon. It's like, he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to be like, I want out of my contract early to go back to WWE, when he's in the middle of building up someone who he considers a really talented up and comer. Yeah, I don't think he'd want to do that to MJF from a man who is passionate about wrestling and can see talent. You know what I mean?
It's an interesting thing though, and again, I don't want to shit on AEW, but with the whole Blackpool Combat Club when it first launched, we were like, oh, this is going to be fucking awesome, and it's not been really. It's it's wasted potential, unfortunately. It could have been much better, and ultimately MJF has had the payoff, because he's got to absolutely nail William Regal and basically
feats that not many people have done.
Right in the nooks. And basically, he's managed to get a bit of a payoff there from Regal in this anyway. So I don't know. I think
what it was like, I felt it like a real passing of the torch when MJF took the brass knucks. I feel like that was going to be his thing that he inherited from Regal. And I totally understand from a character standpoint that he'd turn on Regal. He's that kind of asshole. But I don't know, it's kind of sad that he wouldn't be part of it anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like the whole Blackpool Combat Club is disbanded now anyway, because Moxley hates Regal. Danielson is still siding with Regal, but if Regal's not around anymore...
Danielson loves that man.
What's going to happen? So, and Utah's just there, doing Utah things.
Just playing with his Legos.
So, I don't know. I think it seems like he's been written off TV. We'll see if he does show up again, but it wouldn't surprise me if he goes back there because he's got a lot of love for that company, and obviously he's gone on record to say that company saved him. Saved
well,
his
that's
life.
the thing. I mean, his statement when he left was there was no ill will there. He understood the decision they were making from a business point of view, and thanked them for that time. And it was one of the. We said when he got released, it was crazy and a travesty, and it's one of the. I totally get Triple H fixing that.
Yeah. Well,
I would, in his shoes, I would rectify that mistake.
He was one of the casualties of a non-Triple H, when Triple H wasn't there, let's be honest. So, he's super
He's sick for a little bit, and they're like, right, let's mess with some shit.
Yeah, I feel like he's someone that Triple H would absolutely want back because they're so close. So
I think, we'll never know, but I think it is fair to say if Triple H had been there at the time, he'd have definitely gone to bat for him.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. So... we'll see, but I guess it all comes back to, is he under a 3-year contract? Isn't he? Are they going to allow him out of that contract? And what does that all mean? But it seems like, for now anyway, that he's not going to be as prevalent on AEW. So whether that means a return to it, WWE, we don't know. But interesting nonetheless.
Interesting stuff.
So this one will be pretty short and sweet, and it's quite a sad story, really.
Man.
So Dana Brooke celebrated her birthday this couple of days ago, I believe. And she took to Twitter to basically say all she wants for her birthday, like her birthday wish, is to be allowed to wrestle and go up against the best to really show what she can actually do. And it's one of those with Dana Brooke, let's be honest, like, we're not going to pussyfoot around it. At the end of the day, whenever we've seen her, we've never looked at her and gone, she's going to be a star, because...
Because you're not an old-timey film producer.
Be a star, don't you?
Because you're not Walt Disney. Yeah, okay.
Well, let me tell you something. I don't know. I think she has shown improvements. Would be fair enough to say that to her. And obviously, she had. I
feel like I'm at a parents' evening.
Yeah, it must be the worst job ever to be like speaking to the parents of the worst kid in the class and just being like, at least they show up.
She's shown improvement.
Yeah,
didn't set a fire this week. That's a plus.
Take what we get. But I don't know. I think obviously she had a bit of a raw end of no pun intended. She had a bit of a raw end of the deal with the whole 24/7 title thing.
Now she's been smacked down.
The Reggie thing, and she's now been smacked down into obscurity. So what's NXT for her is to be seen.
But they're gonna put a mask on her and call her. Can't go with scripts. What's equivalent to that?
Shits.
Savage.
But no, I don't know. I think I don't know. She probably deserves the chance because she never really had the chance. But ultimately, is she? I don't know.
I disagree.
Well, everyone deserves a chance, damn it.
I think she's been given chances. What? Like, I'm not being unfair here. Well, I am. I'm being a knob. But she's had TV time, and like you say, there's not really anything wrong with that.
Let me take that. Let me counter that. So we had in Hot Takes a couple of weeks ago, we were discussing Mandy Rose. Now at WrestleMania, it was Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke in a tag team together, where Mandy Rose was the one who fell on her ass in the ring. And look what Mandy Rose has gone on to do now.
Yeah, but Mandy Rose didn't like play a violin on social media. She reinvented herself on NXT.
Well, she had the opportunity.
She wants to go back to NXT and reinvent herself, fine. But what she's saying here is, I want to wrestle the best of the best so they can make me look good.
Maybe. Or maybe she just wants an opportunity. Maybe they won't let her go to NXT. You don't know.
Just let me wrestle people. I'm like, no.
Yeah, you will be there and you will run away with the 24/7 title.
This is called catering. Get used to it.
So
no, I disagree. I feel like it's that comment, and maybe I'm reading too much into it. The comment of like she wants to wrestle, like forgive the phrasing. It was the
I think
best,
she said
the top,
she wants to wrestle against the best to prove that she can hang. I think a lot of people look at her and go, well, she's a joke and she doesn't belong there.
And that's the difference for me, though.
But really, she's
Mandy Rose didn't have to wrestle the best to prove she could hang. She built herself up.
That's fair. But you know, she decided to go back down to NXT. I don't know whether Dana
and Mandy didn't just build herself up; she took 2 people with her.
Did she though?
You know,
I still think she's overrated.
You know, Priscilla Kelly and the other one.
Yeah,
they got built up.
Yeah, you know the other one.
Rose.
Who the fuck is the other one? Yeah. We know Gigi Dolan, Priscilla Kelly. I know both of their names. Couldn't tell you a single fucking one. So.
No, that's what I was going for. I'm like, I'm not even going to give her a WWE name, and I can't remember the other one.
Yeah. So, sorry about that.
Just trying to mix the bag a little bit.
Just trying to mix the bag. So yeah, I don't know. I think give Dana a chance.
Hashtag give Dana a chance. Hashtag free Dana.
Who shouldn't be given a chance though, Anthony?
Hashtag Brooke it. What? Sorry.
Hey.
Go on.
I said who shouldn't be given a chance.
Oh, we're doing the next thing. Okay. Sorry. I was still just thinking of hashtags.
We're in a show here.
I was vamping.
How it works.
Oh, back and forth. Oh. So Brian Kendrick, interestingly, was brought in for Survivor Series to produce the women's match between Shotzi and Ronda Rousey. And the reason this is somewhat controversial, Carl, because a lot of people may not be aware of this, and I certainly wasn't. I just knew he disappeared from TV. Turns out he went on a bit of a mad rant about conspiracy theories, trying to suggest Sandy Hook was a hoax, trying to suggest I think that whole Kanye thing where the Jewish elite are running the world and I don't know, lizards live under the surface of the earth or some shit. I don't know. He went on a few mad rants. And another thing I also didn't realise is that apparently Ronda's also had similar rants about Sandy Hook, which I don't know why people want to pretend that didn't happen or it's some sort of hoax. What benefit is that? I don't want to get into this territory, Carl, but...
Conspiracy theorists are good at conspiracy.
When you sat there with your tinfoil hat on, I want to at least know why you think that happened. Right, and no one's ever really given a legitimate reason as to why it's a hoax. Not that there could be one, because it's just insanity, right? But why is it a hoax?
I have no idea.
Who come up with that hoax and what did it achieve?
Yeah.
Fuck all, right?
Really know.
Anyway, so Brian Kendrick's a lunatic.
Mm-hmm.
And they brought him in.
He's a bit of a flat earther as well.
Probably, yeah. Fucking flat earther. So afraid of falling off the edge. Anyway, so they brought him in to produce a match that was shit. So that was good. That I'm actually probably more offended by the fact that he just produced a really awful match.
Well, it's funny that you mentioned that Ronda shares similar views because by all accounts it was Ronda who made the request to bring him in because he was the one that trained her.
Well, that is speaking volumes right now.
Yeah. So apparently Ronda's got that much pull that they can bring in Brian Kendrick.
So it's interesting that the Brian Kendrick produced the worst match of the night.
Well, if you, I mean, we've covered that much stuff in the last 2 years, but I don't know if you remember, he was booked to wrestle, I think, Moxley on AEW.
Oh,
and
yes.
Canned him last minute because
this
stuff unearthed itself.
So that's why he ended up not doing that. Okay.
Yeah. So it's been kind of out there for a bit that he's a bit of a interesting character, but then it's kind of crazy to see him be ushered back into that role. Now I think it's been made clear that WWE haven't signed him.
I bet you he's one of them cunts who comes up with these mad, well not comes up with, but agrees with these mad theories, and when you don't agree with him he's like, sheep. Why?
Yeah.
People aren't sheep just because they don't believe your insanity.
Man, just siding with the man on these things.
Just a part of the system. I'm outside the system.
I'm still far above the system. The system that to me. But yeah, so it seems like Ronda, who isn't winning all the plaudits herself at the minute anyway, is the reason why he got brought in. It was at her request, and who knows what it means. He's not being signed, but
I'm actually quite surprised. WWE being typically risk averse, knowing the controversy around him, I was quite surprised to bring him in for this.
Interesting though that they haven't seen even a shred of the controversy that AEW got when they found out he was getting booked in a match. Yeah. And I know that he's not doing an on-screen role, but he's still there.
Maybe that's just how easy it is. We don't want to see him. He can do whatever he wants backstage. We just don't want to see his face.
Yeah, because that's fine. So yeah, we'll see what it means. But interesting one.
Interesting stuff indeed.
Speaking of interesting stuff, so
indeed,
how do you feel about this revelation? So it's not been fully confirmed yet, but I think it was PW Mania or PW Insider. Someone with PW in the title has basically
PWTs
could be. I mean, if you approve our shirts, that maybe do that before you announce this.
Like this fetching Jack Jones one.
Yes, you can buy.
Can't see that getting copyright striked.
Not our shop. But yeah, Triple H has alluded to, and it's also been reported by these two, that WWE is headed to India, Anthony, for a premium live event. However, the belief is they're going to head there this January, which is directly before the Royal Rumble, which takes place at the end of January. So you kind of got to ask yourself, is that too soon?
Stop with that. Sorry.
Genius. But obviously, so Survivor Series is the last premium live event this year. So we might get 2 in January. I mean, he didn't do day 1. Like, that's been taken away now, hasn't it? So maybe this is...
because they've been down since... Oh, yeah.
They've been down since some point. But yeah, so...
That's interesting. I mean, do you think this is another one of them things where WWE have typically not had a good history with doing, because they don't do shows in India typically without going, well, you know, we've got some Indians in the back that we're going to put some belts on, which is kind of stupid to me.
Do you want to see Great Khali come back again?
Because I'm like, because Jinder Mahal had bags of potential, but they were like, okay, I know you've never really had a mid-card run or a run at all other than 3MB, but we're going to throw the title on you for like a hot minute because, you know, we're trying to push the Indian viewership. And it's like, thanks. Like, nothing like being a token. Appreciate that.
Basically how it went down.
And yeah, you know, hopefully they don't just pull shit like that. If you have a show in another country, do it.
Yeah.
But,
well, I mean,
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's not like they had Clash at the Castle and insisted on, you know, having Drew as one of the main events. You know.
I know, yeah, and Sheamus, and you know stuff.
So maybe they don't really care. I don't know what, you know. It's whatever. They seem to do it all the time. I didn't complain about that one.
But maybe they saw the success of Clash, and I think he was very clear in one of the, you know, scrums or media sessions or whatever, that they wanted to explore more markets and do more international shows next year.
Do you think we might get another Clash at? Because one of the things he was referring to was that they might still do Clash, not necessarily at the castle, but they might still do, like, Clash might be a thing.
Maybe.
So do you think we could have Clash
at the Taj Mahal?
Well, I don't know if they could book the Taj Mahal, but certainly somewhere big.
Never know.
My geographic knowledge, you know, Clash.
It's like Triple H. Yeah, I don't think there's enough castles to be able to do that as a theme.
Great Triple H impression, by the way.
Yeah, thanks. So yeah, potentially
interesting. Interesting. I'll tell you what is interesting, Carl.
Cool.
And I'm gonna. This is gonna be my conspiracy theory for the night. So, Fightful Select have reported that Johnny Gargano, Karrion Kross, and Scarlett Bordeaux were all pulled from WrestleCade, and that was because of a precaution in case they were needed for Survivor Series. Not that they were booked on it, just want to, sit there.
You will sit in catering, right? You will eat.
But
it's just trying to fatten them up.
As a peace offering, WWE offered them JBL.
That's my favourite part of this whole story. Like, you can have Johnny Gargano, you know, Karrion Kross and Scarlett Bordeaux, but now we can offer you JBL.
You got a cowboy hat.
Okay.
But what I found interesting about this, and this is where it might get me tinfoil hatty, but is this not exactly what WWE were doing that Punk was moaning about on I want to say Colt Cabana's podcast, when he was saying about he'd booked himself gigs for like signings and that sort of thing, and they would like take him off them because he's the champ and needed that, and put other people on there who they wanted to make money basically, and he was like, this is like them stopping his revenue stream for stuff he booked himself. I distinctly remember that conversation happening on a podcast, and I'm just looking at this like, so Dave lost a gig where they could sit at a table, sign pictures of themselves and make money because they might be at Survivor Series. And I'm sure they got paid. I'm sure the money isn't the issue. I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
And say, but you can have JBL.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think Johnny Gargano was announced for Wales Comic-Con over here, wasn't he? And he got pulled from that as well. So I don't know whether it's so much of they needed to be there for Survivor Series or just that you're not going to do Comic-Cons while you're under our umbrella again.
No Comic-Cons.
But JBL, he was like,
you can't do some Comic-Cons.
Legends contract or whatever, you can fuck off and go and do what you want.
Yeah. So those who are looking forward to seeing them, I hope you like JBL.
Yeah. JBL, Scarlett Bordeaux.
Yeah, I know. I can feel the disappointment from here.
Don't know why I was doing this motion. So the next one,
especially because JBL was the last one you mentioned.
Can I wear the cowboy hat? Anyway, so the next one to talk about Andrade El Idolo.
For the pronunciation again, love it.
Has revealed that he's undergone his first ever surgery, Anthony.
First ever?
First ever.
Wow.
First surgery. Now, obviously, he was in the news.
The rubbish first.
He was in the news quite a bit lately around him trying to force his way out of his AEW contract and all this kind of stuff. And essentially, this is the first time he's kind of himself broken his silence, if you want to say
was that during surgery?
Ow! Andrade, Fightful Select can report. Andrade El Idolo said, "Oh no," because it's never quite right. Is it? But yeah, so apparently he suffered the injury a month or so ago in a trios match, and he kind of tore his bicep or his pectoral or something on his body, and he's been fighting through it because he's a professional, damn it, and he didn't want to give up the match. And now a lot of people are kind of saying, well, is all this stuff being a work then? Is that the reason why we haven't seen him? Because he's injured. It's not so much the Tony's not booking him.
Farewells on Twitter because he was going for surgery and being a drama queen.
Yeah, and it's like, well, okay.
Bye, cruel world.
Yeah.
It's surgery, man. On your shoulder.
So yeah, so he's gone ahead and had that surgery. But yeah, he took to Twitter to basically say that, he did everything he could and he's fought through it all and people didn't want to book him or something, and it's like, well, maybe because you're fucking injured, Belland, go and get the surgery.
Well, Cody was able to wrestle with one arm.
I know, yeah, that is the precedent now, isn't it? Is the arm still attached to the body? Yes. Can you move it? Not much.
It's fine. It's like, come on, put me in, coach. I can still go. Your leg's over there.
It's fine. We'll make it work. So yeah, obviously speedy recovery to Andrade, but indeed, as it stands, we still don't have any confirmation he's being released from his AEW contract. So,
although according to the experts on Twitter, he really wants to be released. He's begging. He every week, Tony. Like, please let me go, Tony. Just let me go.
And his wife is over there in Charlotte Flair.
Tony's just like some sort of supervillain. He's there stroking his white cat. Like, no, you're all gonna stay here, but I'm not gonna book you.
Yeah, Tony stroking some white pussy.
Damn. I can't follow that. And we're moving on to AEW. I can't follow that.
Speaking of AEW,
so this isn't really news, but it's something I wanted to discuss because a little bit of a debate started on Twitter, and this was over let's just accept the fact that AEW have signed a lot of ex-WWE people. Probably exaggerated more than it's not as many as like people exaggerated to be, but there are quite a few WWE signings. But the debate started on who was the best, and not in terms of like who had the most star power going in, but who's the best one they've had in 2022. So the debate was between Swerve Strickland, Tony Storm, Claudio, and Athena. And overwhelmingly, everyone seems to be leaning towards Swerve Strickland. And this is why I wanted to discuss it, because whilst it's not really news, it was just a bit of a debate, I find it really hard to disagree. Tony Storm's had a really good run. But if you look at who's probably done the best with the AEW time, it might be Swerve Strickland. Debate.
Don't know. I'm not sure I agree, to be fair.
Well, Claudio, he had his Ring of Honor run.
So Claudio, he had the Ring of Honor thing.
Tony Storm is definitely like one of the contenders for like best like run in AEW.
It's only these four as well. These are the four.
These are the four from 2022, according to the experts of Twitter.
Okay. I mean, looking at that, you've got to put Tony first. I mean she's been an interim, a lineal champ now.
Lineal.
She had a great debut, and she's been actively involved in a lot of the women's division with Thunder, with who the hell beat her for the belt? Jamie Hayter. So. Yeah, shut your face. Well, I mean, to be fair, you're talking about memorable. What's Swerve done? He's come out and gone, whose house? And everyone's going,
he started a tag team, started a catchphrase.
Swerve in our glory, and that's broken up.
Started a tag team, started a catchphrase. Won some belts, lost some belts. You just love the Acclaimed, so you don't want to give them any credit at all.
I've never been a massive Swerve Strickland fan.
You have to admit, this Swerve is the best Swerve.
Well, yeah, to be fair. But
this is probably the biggest Swerve.
Not saying much, to be fair. But I don't know.
I think in terms of like, and this might be why I'm probably being a bit sort of clouded, but in terms of like best AEW run from an ex-WWE person in 2022, I kind of want to lean towards Swerve, because if you look at how he was in WWE, I would say he's considerably better. Whereas Tony, other than obviously the main card run, she was a big deal in NXT. So you go, well, you know, I get it. Like she's a big deal. I don't know. It's a tough one for me, because I'm
Swerve is a guy they brought in because he was a free agent and had no plans for him, so they stuck him together in a tag team with Keith Lee, who they also had no plans for, that they brought in as a free agent, who's not on here, by the way.
Must have been not 2022.
Interesting.
Either way, the debate devolved to these four, so this is the four we're fucking talking about, all right?
Yeah, okay, fair play. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's not had a bad run, don't get me wrong. He's probably second in terms of, but I mean, Claudio's come in the latest. Athena, she's been misused. She came in with a lot of steam and then has just been on Rampage all the time.
It felt like it was right in itself that she was going to dethrone Jade, and it just never happened. I was a bit confused by that one.
Yeah,
I must admit.
She's probably been the biggest casualty of it. Claudio's too early to tell. He's come in, he's won the Ring of Honor title, he's been part of the Blackpool Combat Club, had blood and guts, had a great start, and then done not much
Everyone's got blood and guts,
Not everyone. How dare you?
One thing
How dare you assume I got blood and guts?
Fair. But, yeah, I mean, I take your point. They've all got reasons to be contenders, I suppose. But
I'm going to go Toni Storm for me.
Okay. I think I'll probably agree with you on Tony, but I would say most improved. If you compare the WWE run to the AEW run, I would argue that Swerve's probably had the best comparative run.
Must have had a shit WWE run.
He did. That was the point.
Yeah, what do you think? Who do you think's had the best AEW run? ex-WWE person that was signed in 2022. So before we go, we have to give some shout outs. Obviously, if you're not watching us on Pro Wrestling TV,
we love to.
If you're not watching us on Pro Wrestling TV, you should. It's great fun for all the family, and it's free. We kid. We love Pro Wrestling TV. So if you're not watching us on there, why the hell not? Go over there now, and you can watch us. You can watch other talk shows.
You certainly can.
Watch TNT Wrestling from Liverpool. You can watch
MLW,
baby. Women's Wrestling Army. You can watch Warrior Wrestling. There's so much fucking awesome stuff on there, so go and watch it.
I don't, you know, when you say Warrior Wrestling with our accent, it sounds like you're asking the question.
Warrior Wrestling, lad. Warrior Wrestling, a fucking bag of spuds. So go and watch all that on pwtv. Top Rope. So we don't have any cans available at the moment on.
So buy some kegs.
So get some kegs.
Fucking do it.
Get yourself 10% off while you do by using ATK10 at topropebrewing.com. T-shirts. Everyone loves t-shirts.
Buy them.
It's the winter. Of course you want to buy t-shirts.
Indeed.
But if you did and you want to buy our t-shirts, you can do that on Pro Wrestling Tees or also via Alt Wrestling Tees.
Alt Wrestling Tees.
So you can find those guys on Instagram. So they have done one design so far that's available, the other one imminently when Pro Wrestling TV
patiently waiting.
When Pro Wrestling Tees pull their head out their ass.
We're patiently waiting, but we love both designs, but we're super excited with the new design.
Very excited.
But currently, if you go to Alt Wrestling Tees, you can check out our House of Purple design, which is fantastic. He's done a fantastic job on it.
Yeah,
and
they've got some more, like literally
loads of other stuff that
brilliant stuff. They've got like they're so topical as well. So like they've just brought out a t-shirt this week about Jake Hager's hat.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Fucking brilliant.
On the
stuff.
ball.
They've got Acclaim stuff on there. They've got loads of awesome stuff. So make sure you check those guys out. And until next week, thank you. Fuck you. Bye.